back into the White Mountains TV studios. I'm your host, Ryan Lynch Garcia, and I'm sitting here with Judy Faust, and she has a new documentary coming out about David C. Baker, and the title of it is, remind me?
It's See What's Whispered, the legacy of artist David C. Baker.
Awesome, and this is a documentary it's not done yet. It's set to come out in September.
It's in progress.
It's a work in progress, but it's a really interesting story about a really integral figure in Jackson, especially in the artist community. You want to take the floor and just kind of tell them about some background on David C. Baker, maybe?
Yes, he came to the Mount Washington Valley to Jackson, New Hampshire, right on Route 16 in 1946, and he died in 1999. He was a very important part of many, many, many people's lives. And he was unusual in that he didn't go to the city so much to sell his artwork, but he stayed right on Route 16 when there was hardly anything here. Right before the ski area was just, just beginning. Wildcat hadn't even started yet. And he sold his work on Route 16. First, he didn't even have a gallery. Then in 1951, he did. Okay. And he started selling his work and getting published in magazines, and he ended up selling all over the world.
Wow.
And he was, another unusual thing about him was his house, he'd open up his house and his gallery, and you could drop by any time. He had a drawing group for about 15 years. And it was like a mecca. It was a place to be, to go to David's house. You could drop in any time. It was always an experience. And I tell you, nobody left there unchanged because of who he was. He was an unforgettable person.
Right, yeah. It sounds like it was just kind of a great community was developed there with him, and he was able to really, I mean, like you said, he's touched a lot of lives, and which is why I think, which is what prompted you to start the documentary, correct?
Yeah, I grieved after he died for, 12 years, and I thought, has anybody done a documentary on David Baker? Well, gee, why don't I? I mean, he's close to my heart, and I was going to do it as Judy Faust, remembering David Baker, and then I thought, wait a minute, he touched many people's lives. I'm going to get all of them involved.
Right.
So I interviewed, by this time this is done, about 40 people.
Wow.
And the story is, because we don't have him, the story is told from all these people who loved him.
Right.
And
great perspectives, yeah.
He inspired people. He was Mr. Creativity.
Yeah.
So, and I think this will be inspiring for artists of today, and what do I do in the Valley? How do I integrate my life and my art?
Right.
It's not just publicity, getting the word out. Art is a part of the community. So important these days when it's always being cut from schools and from this, that. It's not a commercial venture. It's a venture of the heart.
Yeah.
And the mind.
And that's what it seems. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he's such a unique artist in the sense, like you said. I mean, he kind of stayed organic with everything. And in his home, where he created his art, is where he sold his art, is where he lived, and his art was inspired by the surroundings. I mean, beautiful Jackson, New Hampshire. How could you not be inspired? I mean, it's a work of art in its own right, just that area. So yeah, I mean, and have a figure like that, I think, and a lot of people may not, like you said, he touched a lot of lives, but there's also people out there who may not know about him, and this will be a great way to learn about a great artist from our community.
And I'm going to tell you about his art. He was so inventive. He was constantly striving to change and grow and try new things. And so he painted on a refrigerator surface. It was playing around with, the watercolor was too stable to be stuck in a medium where you couldn't remove the marks easy enough. And so he discovered something, and he called it vitreous flux. Okay. And then he became known for that. And this was a system of painting on an impervious surface. So water flowed across the surface, and then people loved the effect of that. And so other people like Kathleen Moore and DeLulio and Lisa Charette, who still is up in North Country Graphics, people followed, they loved this system. Nan White, a lot of people tried this system of painting, and that's what's so neat. This documentary, you just see, it's not like you see one David Baker, you've seen them all. No.
No, yeah.
Mm-mm. He didn't even look the same. All the photographs of him is like, that's him? That's him? That's him?
And he also had a very, from what I know, he had also a very interesting life. I mean, I think he went through a lot in his lifetime, which I think also probably inspired some of the art that he created. Is that true?
Sure, but mostly once he got to the mountains, he enjoyed being part of the ski scene. He skied. He did cartoons for the local valley newspaper called The Signal at the time, and for the TV station that Joan Sherman and her husband owned. And so he did cartoons for many, many years, and he had his work all over the valley. Second and third generation people bought his work every year. Tourists that came up would go skiing and they wanted to have a souvenir of his work, so they bought his work. And now we're going to have a show. The documentary is coming out in September 28th.
Okay.
And it is in progress. And
do you want to show this?
Yeah, this is the poster in progress. We're still looking for sponsors. We need some individual local businesses to have show off their logos. And we're going to, because David Baker in the last part of his life started poetry. And there used to be a thing called the Cafe Zoom Zoom where the poets gathered. Okay. And wherever he went, people loved him. So he was a magnet again. And he self-published a book. And because he did that, and because this documentary is a tribute to the artist and how he influenced the community, we're going to have a art show of his work and the people he influenced next door, right here, at the Mount Washington Valley Arts Association. We're going to have a poetry reading of David Baker's work and the people that he influenced at the Conway Public Library. And then finally, the documentary, See What's Been Whispered, The Legacy of Artist Baker, David C. Baker, at the Whitney Community Center in Jackson, September 28th. So it's a tribute of the whole community, and I want to get everybody and local people involved, and that's what the sponsorship will be for. This picture is of Vitreous Flux in the background, and David Baker, famous for smoking his pipe.
Symbolic image of him.
Yes. Somebody just told me, I didn't know who he was, but I recognized that outline.
Absolutely. Well, great. Well, Judy, thank you so much for stopping in and chatting with me. If you want more information about this, go to the Baker Legacy, or bakerlegacy.com. So www.bakerlegacy.com. More info will be posted there, and the documentary comes out in September, so stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have more information about that as we get closer. Thanks for watching White Mountains TV.